Coverage today presented by Toyota. And just over an hour ago, we wrapped up session number 1 for these Xfinity cars. Here's how it went down. Really good work in the draft for most everyone in the field. And the fastest of the bunch, surprise, surprise, lately it's been a broken record here at Daytona. A Ford driven by Rookie of the Year contender Chase Briscoe. He was fast. Let's get a report there and go to Regan Smith.
Well, Adam, he was very fast, and I talked to him about what they were going to do this practice session. The last session they got to get in the draft, he felt the car out just a little bit, said it was a little bit too free for him getting off of the corners, so they wanted to tighten up just a little bit. They're going to do that with a small shock adjustment, but their plan is to go out and do single car runs only. They don't want to risk this race car. He and crew chief Richard Boswell, they're happy with how it is. This is a guy I'm very excited to watch this season. He was fast last year, got his first win. Could be one of those guys we talk about winning a lot this season.
No question, and he did win the last wild card race, if you will, in Xfinity Series competition when he went to victory lane at the Roval in that very 98 car last September. Good to have you with us on this gorgeous Friday afternoon in Central Florida with Michael Waltrip. I'm Adam Alexander. Let's start there. Chase Briscoe, Regan mentioned it, single car runs. That a good game plan, or would you want more in the draft and final practice?
I think you learned everything you wanted to know in that first session. I mean, we saw 3-wide racing and a pack of over 15 cars out there mixing it up. They ran nearly 20 laps on the track. That means your tires got heated up. Your car's handling was going to change, and so I think everybody liked what they saw. I loved what I saw because it showed me we're going to see a lot of intense action when they throw the green flag tomorrow. But I think right now, if I liked what I had in that first session, I just want to see how I'm going to qualify, maybe make a couple practice runs to pit road, and that's all I want to accomplish in this session.
More good news for everybody. The weather right now, exactly what we'll have for the race time tomorrow. So if you're out there working on something, it should transfer once the green flag goes in the air. It's been a great day so far here at Daytona International Speedway. One cup practice in the books. We're set for practice number 2 in the Xfinity Series. It's all brought to you by Toyota. Welcome back to Daytona with Michael Waltrip. I'm Adam Alexander. No cars on track so far. A couple of them parked down on pit road, and everybody getting set. There's Justin Haley. And let's talk about Haley for a minute. You know, here's a kid that's got a couple of Xfinity starts under his belt, 3 actually, one of them coming right here at Daytona. And the last time he came here, he thought he won. penalized on the final lap coming through the tri-oval for going below the double yellow line. What does that do to mindset as you return, Michael?
I just think it builds confidence. I mean, he's a kid, man. He came to the checkered flag at Daytona. It was waving. He had an opening. He went for it. Just barely overshot the move a little bit too low. I think he learned from that move, but it proved to him after a hard-fought race, he was in a position to get the checkered flag at Daytona. That is one of the most elite feelings in all of NASCAR, seeing that checkered flag waving and being in contention to grab it.
He's a rookie. Let's hear from a veteran in the garage and say good afternoon to Matt Yoakum. Hey, Matt.
Hey, buddy. Yeah, Brad Keselowski back in the 12 car now. Keselowski looking at this weekend and really the big picture aspect of it. He's going to go out here shortly, make 2 separate runs by himself just to get a good feel and good read on the tires. But the bigger picture, looking ahead to the 500, the reason he is in this event this weekend is to get more seat time, not for Brad, but for Brad and his new spotter, Coleman Presley. They wanted to try to add as many events during Speed Week as they could to get their chemistry down. And Michael, you've gone through it so many times. Working with a new spotter, there's so much what the driver likes, dislikes, and it gives them so many more laps on the racetrack to work on that chemistry.
Man, Matt, I can't tell you how comforting it is when you're behind the wheel of that car and whatever that spotter says, you believe it. We've all had spotters where maybe you never got on the same page. You couldn't feel good about what you were hearing, and building that relationship and making those moves is so crucial. You have to understand that when that spotter tells you something, you can take it to the bank. And I think that's exactly why laps, just getting repetitions is so important in that relationship, building that confidence.
Looking here at the 99, that's DJ Kennington driving the 3rd entry for BJ McLeod Motorsports this weekend. Also on track, another one of our rookies, John Hunter Nemechek. Got his first career win last October, Kansas Speedway. You know what's really neat about that is the final win in his father's career when it comes to the Xfinity cars happened there at Kansas. Swept the weekend there like 2003 or something like that. It's cool that they have that synergy, that connection, and I'm anxious to see what he does driving for GMS in 2019.
Me too. It'll be interesting to see how this team is able to perform against the likes of Penske, Junior Motorsports, the top teams in the sport, because in the truck series, GMS has become the top team. And having the type of equipment they have on the truck series, I'm sure they're going to have some of the fastest cars in Xfinity as well. It's going to be fun to watch.
There's Jeff Green, has a pole in the Daytona 500 many years ago for Richard Childress Racing. Also won the Xfinity title in 2000. So let's go back to what we were talking about earlier. Justin Haley came here last summer and ran a few races for GMS last season, also driving for him full-time in the truck series, and there's the move that got him penalized, Michael.
Just needed a foot, Adam, and the foot was there. But, you know, he's running 200 miles an hour nearly. He dives to the bottom with that aggressive move. Just that much over the line, and he was kicked out, and that put Kyle Larson in victory lane.
Who won by 5 1/1000ths of a second. It was a thriller here last summer, Regan.
Adam, I can feel Justin Haley's pain when it comes to yellow lines. A little bit of experience with those myself in the past. Hey, when you guys were talking about him earlier, I walked down here and wanted to find out what this team's plan was for this practice. They've got the radiator plugged in. They're going to make 2 qualifying runs. But what I was really interested to find out was that Nick Harrison was standing here. And when we think back a year ago, Nick Harrison is crew chief, that is. When we think back to Nick Harrison a year ago, he nearly won 4 straight poles at Daytona. Unfortunately, he was asked to leave the facility after qualifying. NASCAR didn't quite like something he had going on with his race car. I asked him as I was talking to him, was he planning on sticking around for the entire race tomorrow? He said yes, but he still thinks he's going to have a car capable of being up front when qualifying's done and while they're racing tomorrow.
Well, Nick Harrison, a familiar face over at RCR for so many years, and is now at Kaulig Racing, who's fielding 2 cars this year, one full-time, the effort for Justin Haley, who will run for the championship. And, of course, they have an alliance with the folks over at RCR, and I think a real good opportunity. Their shop actually right there on the RCR campus in Welcome, North Carolina. So some neat things ahead for that organization. Chris Rice, who will crew chief for Ross Chastain in that second car this weekend, has been named president of Kaulig Racing.
Yeah, he's been a mainstay there and a very talented leader as well. Watch the hands. Chase Briscoe's goal This is a bit of a qualifying run. We talked about it earlier, but watch how steady he tries to keep those hands at him. That hand on the right, up, it needs to just stay as still as you can, because remember, we're racing for a pole, right? It could be separated. We've seen the victory here by 4/10,000ths of a second. The same thing could happen in qualifying. The driver just has to make sure he does his part. He doesn't want to let the team down. The team works so hard on the car, he wants to make sure he does everything possible to get the quickest lap time.
On board with Chase Briscoe, who a couple of years ago was teammates. Am I right in saying that? He was teammates with this guy, Austin Cindric, driving in the Truck Series over at BKR, Brad Keselowski Racing.
Cindric, the 20-year-old from Mooresville, North Carolina, right in the heartbeat of all of NASCAR. His father, a big part of that Team Penske organization, and he's been around racing his whole life, and it was no surprise to see him hop behind the wheel of one of these big-time NASCAR rides when he got the opportunity.
Now working with Brian Wilson full-time. Brian, a crew chief, and you know he called the shots on this car last year, did Brian Wilson, but he had that all-star cast. Yeah, Austin drove it some, but he also had Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, and Ryan Blaney. But interestingly enough, if you go back a few years, Brian, who's been an engineer at the Cup level and kind of moved all around, played different roles at Team Penske, Brian got his first stock car win as a crew chief with Austin driving in the ARCA Racing Series. So these two have quite a history dating back a few years, despite the fact that Austin Cindric is only 20 years old. And there's the team car, Brad Keselowski. Team Penske going for their first win ever at Daytona and the NASCAR Xfinity Series here tomorrow. We're back here at Daytona, and this broadcast of Xfinity Practice is also live on our Fox partner Caffeine. You can watch, chat, host your own broadcast, giving fans your take on the event. Caffeine is available on the Apple App Store and Google Play. Download it free today. Let's go to the garage and Matt Yoakum.
Well, I think, Adam, when you win a race at Daytona, or if you have a season like Justin Allgaier did last year, you just seem to grow with all that positivity that's around you. And you seem, actually, we're eye to eye now. You've added about 5 inches.
Yeah, I grabbed a scale pad because, I wanted to make sure that the camera guy didn't have to work too hard to get to that level. But, this place, obviously, the allure of Daytona, the history here, not necessarily even just from the NASCAR standpoint, but just the history of Daytona International Speedway. I can remember as a kid coming here for years and years before I ever got the opportunity to race here. it's just one of those places you want to win. Like, you want to win here bad. It doesn't matter if it's in the spring or in the summer, you want to win here, but the February race always has that allure to it. And been able to check off a lot of different styles of racetracks in my career, and being lucky enough to win at different racetracks in the Xfinity Series. And this is one of those places that I want to win at.
Real quick, for the first time since the 90s, we don't have Elliott Sadler in the garage. He's kind of retired, stepped away. What do you think he's doing today?
Well, he made me the old guy at Junior Motorsports. So, Elliott, we need you back. I don't want to be the old guy anymore. But, you know, my guess is that, you know, he's been working on baseball and softball with his kids, and I know that was one of the biggest reasons why he stepped away. So he's probably either doing that, or he's probably posted up somewhere with a drink in his hand, laughing at all of us for being here doing what we're doing today. So either way, he's probably still winning. But you know, Elliott was a great teammate, great competitor in the sport, and you know, I think that's probably the most thing. I've talked to a lot of fans this week that they're missing that, and you know, that shows a lot about somebody and what career they had. So disappointed not to have him in the garage today for the first time, you know, for a long time. But I know he's probably somewhere enjoying life.
My guess is he started out the day at his kid's little table, watching TV with Wyatt, sitting in the little kid's chair. I love the picture that he tweeted last year, and that's really, when you're a dad, that's the kind of morning that you love and cherish every single day.
Hey,
guys,
following up on the height difference down there, our roster says Allgaier's 5'6". Can he confirm that, Matt?
You know, we can't confirm or deny 5'6", 6'1". Really, you know, it's racing. You know, we're supposed to stretch the rules and the limits a little bit.
When you get in the car and you put a helmet on, we all sit about the same spot. So me being tall or short doesn't really make a big difference. But for interviews, you know, it's always a challenge. So I always try to do my best to, even when I'm taking pictures, I'll stand on my tippy toes a lot with people because, you know, there's nothing worse than having to shrink down. So I always try to make sure that I get to everybody else's height. So it works.
If we back you and Regan Smith up back to back, who do you think is taller?
He's taller than I am. The only one that I really know that I'm taller than on the Xfinity side is Tyler Reddick. Being teammates last year was nice because I think I was about a quarter of an inch or half an inch taller than he was, so that made it nice. Yeah, I'm just, you know what? My parents are both shorter than I am, so I always told everybody as a kid that I wanted to outgrow my dad. That was the only thing I ever cared about, was I wanted to be taller than my dad, and I outgrew him by, like, you know, maybe a half an inch. So I did my job, I guess. At the end of the day, I did my job.
Oh man, I don't know. Who do you think is taller there? Oh, what's your guess? I think Regan's on his tippy toes.
No, it's the tennis shoes, though. He's got soles on his tennis shoes, so you know,
probably inserts too.
Inserts, that's right.
Justin, I actually had to come over here to find the guy who was shorter than you at Junior Motorsports last year, and probably one of the only guys other than Justin and yourself that are shorter than me in this garage area. Tyler, you're sitting here in your driver's suit because you've been going back and forth from the Cup car today, but right now, not much going on for you.
No, we were pretty happy with our Pinnacle partners, Chevy Camaro. I mean, it was really good in practice there. I was really happy with how it was drafting. It seemed like it was just the right balance of speed and stability for myself. We almost got ourselves in trouble a couple times in that only, I guess, on-track activity we really had. But by the end of it, I kind of gotten comfortable with the car and was really happy with how it was going around the racetrack.
How's the transition been from Junior Motorsports over here to Richard Childress Racing? How do the two companies differ? How are they the same? What stuff has surprised you so far?
Right there. I mean, it kind of, I guess, right where I picked up with the Junior Motorsports cars, the feel in our car. I knew the RCR had a really good program on these super speedways. The engine package they have is outstanding. The guys at ECR do an amazing job back at the shop, putting together great motors for us over on the Xfinity side or on the Cup side. So I knew I had a lot of confidence coming in here with what we had. The car just drove really good. We hit it right about where I'd want it to be, I guess, between the speed and downforce, and it seems pretty good for me right now.
Any good short jokes for Justin Allgaier now that we got the mic and those guys aren't on camera anymore that you can fire back at him?
Right now that I'm on the spot, I can't think of anything. I mean, he is taller than me by just a little bit.
Come here. Hold on. Come back here. We'll do like he did. He was standing on the scale. You just go ahead and get the step. There we go. You're taller than Justin now.
I think you're missing some hair. I couldn't see it before until now.
No, we're going from height to hair. I appreciate that.
I couldn't tell from down here, but yeah, you might be missing a little bit. You got the Hemrick Dillon effect going on here.
I don't have quite the troll fluff going that Hemrick had, but I do have that going on as well. Tyler, thank you, buddy.
Anytime.
I don't know if I would have said thank you out of that interview. You know who measures up fine right now? Noah Gragson. He's quick in final practice. 35 minutes to go at Daytona.
This week on NASCAR Race Hub, the season is officially underway, and we're talking with the Daytona 500 champion. Plus, we have Jamie McMurray, fresh off his Daytona 500 run, along with Brad Keselowski, David Reagan, Chad Knaus, Cole Pern, and Drew Blickensderfer. And with that kind of lineup, you know we'll have a champion-sized radioactive as well.
Hang on, hang on, hang on. Done. Oh, my God.
That's all this week on NASCAR Race Hub. Weeknights, 6 p.m. Eastern, only on FS1.
Looking forward to recapping a busy speed weeks. Monday, 6 Eastern on NASCAR Race Hub, and a star-studded lineup. A lot of Daytona victories. I think I counted 3 or 4 Daytona 500s, but overall, a number of wins at Daytona among that group that'll be in to analyze next week.
Yeah, it's impressive, and they're going to have a lot to tear down, too, because this race on Sunday, I think it's going to look a lot different than the on-track activity we've seen so far with our Daytona 500 cars. I think we're going to see 2-3 wide racing. And it's going to all kick off tonight with the trucks. A lot of action always in the trucks, and then Xfinity never disappoints. You can see Noah Gragson fastest so far. Justin Haley right there with him.
Great collection of names when you look at the top 10, and really just overall the 17 cars that have been out here in final practice. Guys, different manufacturers, different levels of team. When you talk about the economics that are involved, different levels of experience.
You can see Briscoe just trying to paint that yellow line. He wants to keep the left front corner of that nose right against the yellow line. And that gets a little bit tricky entering the corner because it's rough. And it wants to pull the car over to the left, so you give it a bit of a gap. Try to circle back down there as low as you can get, though. It's risky because if you hit that splitter down on that line, it'll cost you some speed. But you're right, Adam. Just so many different stories up in the top 10 of our running order so far.
Chase Briscoe, top 5 in both practice sessions here today. And, you know, forever, when we would come to a plate track, Daytona or Talladega, you would never see the 48 on the cup side out in the draft. They worked all about single car. And when you look at what Chase Briscoe has done in practice today, yeah, he's been fast based on rank in both sessions, but 10-mile-an-hour difference. One's in the draft, one's out, kind of making a Q run or shaking it down in single car, Michael.
Yeah, and when you add 10 miles an hour and about 20 cars, action really picks up. These drivers right now making single car runs, getting ready for qualifying. It's a pretty intense ride because you want to be precise and perfect with your line around the corner, but it certainly isn't as hectic and crazy as the draft is. Add 20 cars and 10 miles an hour, action picks up.
What do you have, Regan?
Well, I came to find Michael Annette a minute ago. I went to his hauler because his guys told me they weren't practicing. At his hauler, they said he's out at the race car. I got nervous. I thought I missed something. But when I got out here, you're in street clothes. You guys are done for the day. How do you feel about your car?
I feel really good. The car, we've been, on the tighter side, just trying to, I think, make it too comfortable for me the past couple of years here. So came in here, with the old saying, free is fast. So the car was comfortable. It's definitely on the freer side, but I'd rather be doing those little lifts to keep the back end underneath me than the big lift to, get the nose back. So just being on that tight side, which is slow. So just really excited. We have American Heart Association on the car this weekend and next weekend for February. And then, we'll be back to the pot flying J colors. But just a lot of fun. Good to be at the racetrack and in a fast race car.
Now, you had a crew chief change halfway through last year. Travis Mack comes on board to start working with you. He's with you again this year. How much confidence do you have going into the season having the same crew chief as last year now?
Yeah, I mean, just that whole relationship, which is so important in our sport, as you know, with your crew chief. And in the last couple months of last year, really, we started to find our stride. That relationship really started to gel, and, we just had 3 months of a lot of time spent together. He and I work out together, and at 7 a.m. every morning in the gym. So just growing that relationship, and the core guys, the mechanics on this, which was the 5 team, now the 1, stayed the same, and those guys are like family. So just everything away from the track is right where it needs to be, and now we just start the success on track tomorrow.
Adam, these guys had success, as he mentioned, at the end of the year last year with a couple top 10s closing out the season in the final few weeks, and new number on this car for him this year. So a lot of fun stuff happening for Michael Annette.
I know Michael's excited about the number 1 because that's the car number his dad owned in sprint car racing. Busy day of NASCAR here at Daytona International Speedway. Right now it's Xfinity Series final practice, brought to you by Toyota. So let's get the Toyota team update. Report on Christopher Bell with Matt.
And his car up on jack stands. They're done for this practice session. So when you come back to Daytona, how much studying do you do looking back to last year's race? And what stood out to you most that you put in the back of your mind when you came back to the beach?
Yeah, studying is huge, especially for these restrictor plate races. And I don't have a lot of seat time in these style races. So just looking back at previous races and studying what moves work, what moves don't work. And it's hard because it's really easy to get crashed out in these races, and it seems like it's happened to me a lot. But it seems like the most successful guys are able to get up front and stay up front the entire race. So I feel like our Rheem Supra is a lot better than what we had last year with the Camrys. So if we can qualify good and hopefully stay up front, I think that's going to be our best shot.
Now, for the cool factor, I think the Supra really an award winner this year. But a lot of times going from one body style to the other, you can feel the difference balance-wise, especially around other cars. Similar to that with the Supra, or is it pretty much just a walk in the park, no change?
Yeah, I mean, balance-wise, we won't really know too much until we get to Atlanta next week. But I'll tell you what, I felt like our Super Speedway program wasn't the greatest last year with the Camrys. And then, man, that practice session right there, I felt like I was really strong. So hopefully that means something and we're able to race good and stay up front tomorrow.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Regan?
Well, another one of those dirt racers that loves to get out and moonlight a little bit on the short tracks at locations that we go to. Chase Briscoe, you guys are done for the day. We just looked at the nose of your race car. You didn't have a lot of tape on, and you're 5th on the board. How do you think that stacks up for tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, you really never know. The guys up top, they might not have any tape on either, so it's hard to really know. But I feel like our car was pretty good. We were a little too loose, I felt like, in the pack. But, yeah, we're really proud of all the SHR with Fred Biaggi guys. I feel like we have a really fast neutral chassis Ford Mustang. So looking forward to, the Fords are always really good when they come here on the Cup side, the Xfinity side, and we have Roush Yates power. So should be really good, and looking forward to tomorrow and getting the season started.
Crew Chief Richard Boswell, you have a win with him last year at the Roval event. You're not known to be a road course racer. You're going to be this year now going on forward. Have you ever asked him by chance who his favorite driver he's worked with is?
Well, we talked about that, and I haven't gotten to him yet, but I'll go ask him right now and let you know.
Let me know as soon as you do. We appreciate it.
No way it's Harvick. You know what I'm saying, Regan? It couldn't be Harvick.
No, never. Why would it be hard? I should have said who the most difficult driver you have ever worked with is.
I'm not going to answer that one. Hey, Chase mentioned there Fred Biaggi. And so for a year or so, Stewart-Haas Racing was a one-car team, and then they formed this partnership last year with Biaggi Brothers. And if you remember over the years, before they were a part of the Stewart-Haas family, that 98 Biaggi Brothers car would show up at a handful of races, but always at the plate tracks, usually with Eric Almirola, always competitive chance to win, Michael.
Yeah, I think I recall also back in maybe a 90, I don't know, maybe 01 or 2, I was leading the July race on the last lap, and Mike Wallace driving for the Biaggi brothers spun me around, and then he won the race.
I didn't remember that part. I do remember Mike winning, though.
Yeah, I remember him spinning me around better. But yeah, then he won.
He did win. And I do believe Fred Biaggi was, in fact, the owner.
Number 4, red car.
Yeah, I was going to say number 4. That's right.
What was that red car, number 4, that just spun me out?
Was it sponsored by the Marines? McDonald's had a role in it, I believe.
So.
Yeah.
And you look back at your career, Adam, you spoke earlier in the first practice session about 4 seconds here that I never was able to win in the Xfinity race. There's just so many stories when you start to reminisce about this place. Everything seems to be magnified and more important when you talk about racing at Daytona. And for a 21-year-old kid like Max Stallman out there feeling that draft, seeing what it's all about, I mean, it's just, it takes me back to those days when I ran my first laps here and just how special it is to get to come here and race a car.
What's the psychology factor when you come here in February, even if you're not running the 500? I mean, there's just an added importance that comes to tonight's truck race, tomorrow's Xfinity race, and that's got to weigh on young drivers like Brandon Brown.
Well, when Brandon leaves here, if he could possibly carry that trophy home with him, it'd be the biggest trophy of his whole career. I know he's a young racer. He's won a lot of races on the short tracks, but just a win at Daytona, no matter what it's in, is more significant than any other.
We might get confirmation on this, or we will get confirmation on this. I'm not sure that he officially signed up for Rookie of the Year or not, but Brandon Brown was one of those that might join the 4 others that we've talked about: Noah Gragson, Justin Haley, John Hunter Nemechek, and Chase Briscoe. But this team has got a great story. They've been coming part-time the last couple of years, and you and I have seen him off and on over in the Gander Outdoors Truck Series. He just graduated from college down at Coastal Carolina, so now he can go full-time. Told me he graduated with honors, and it's great to see he and this family operation coming out and competing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
Last year's Xfinity season opener gave us the closest finish in NASCAR history. Rookie Tyler Reddick edged his teammate in epic fashion.
A photo finish! Tyler Reddick's going to edge him out.
Cream rises to the top at Daytona. Coverage begins 2 p.m. Eastern on FS1.
Joey Logano in the booth with Michael and me. It's tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern time. We're live on FS1. Dave Ellens trying to win here for a 4th consecutive year. It would be his 3rd time in 4 years in the Daytona race. And there's his driver, Noah Gragson, who didn't have a lot of luck in trucks, Mike, when it comes to Daytona and Talladega.
But always has a lot of speed everywhere you go. And when you rely on Dave Ellens and that experience and knowledge and know what he's accomplished down here, I'm looking for Noah to be a real contender, not only tomorrow, but all season long. Plus, he's a great interview. He's one of the guys in the garage area you want to go talk to because he always has a lot of fun. If you don't follow him on Instagram or Twitter, you're missing out because he's just a wealth of information and entertainment.
Somewhat of a similar path to this stage as William Byron. You know, they ran in the trucks for Kyle Busch, then went to Xfinity at Junior Motorsports, and working with Dave Ellens in their rookie campaign. So here, active crew chiefs and their respective victories at the World Center of Racing. And the only name you see there multiple times is the aforementioned Dave Ellens. But Mike Shiplett with Cole Custer won here last summer with Kyle Larson. I'd say he's a guy that could make it number 2 tomorrow.
Yeah, we talk about drivers and how important the trophy is to him. What about that record for Dave Ellens? And whether it's a driver or a crew guy or a crew chief or engineers, everybody knows this is what it's all about, having success at Daytona. The setting, the electricity, the vibe, the Goodyear blimp floating around, it just has it all, man. It's just more significant when you come to Florida. I love this time of year.
If the Goodyear blimp is here, you know it must be big. Regan?
Well, Adam, you talk about that list you just showed there. Let's not forget about Shane Wilson either. Nearly won this race last year with Cass Gralla. He's moved over to the 39 team of Ryan Sieg, working with him this year. The 51 car that we see here of Jeremy Clements, this is one team that just got their practice started. We keep talking about all these teams out here that are almost done or that are done and are getting ready to go qualifying tomorrow. This team is still scrambling. They didn't get out in the first session. They just made their first lap on the racetrack. The car was a little bit darty, had good speed, though he's 5th on the board, so they're going to adjust for the dardiness, try and correct the toe in the front of the race car, see if that doesn't help him out just a little bit as they finish up their practices here in a little bit.
Well, and his dad and crew chief, Tony Clements, told me they got some cars from Chip Ganassi Racing. That's got to help him, Michael.
Yeah, and that's a great team. We can see Jeremy. He's in there giving us a thumbs up, getting behind the wheel. RepairableVehicles.com. how perfect of a sponsor is that when you come to Daytona? If you look at some of the multi-car crashes, like 15, 20 cars get piled up, and it's a good thing that they have that sponsor. They can go home. The car is repairable, and they'll be back when we get ready to go racing next week at Atlanta.
He should have been in the Clash on Sunday.
He would have definitely had to repair that one. Did you see any of those cars in that crash, Adam, that weren't repairable?
It was not a pretty scene. The only 3 that were repairable were the ones that didn't need repair, and that was Joey Logano, Kurt Busch, and Ryan Blaney. They made it through unscathed, and while Jimmy Johnson was in the middle of it somewhat, he too was able to get through and, of course, got the win. 14 minutes to go. Final practice for Xfinity teams. Haley, Gregson, Sieg, Starr, and Clements. And there's the 17-car pileup. What a great weekend here in Central Florida. Had a lot of fun last night. The Gander RV Duel at Daytona. The 500 field is set. You'll see those cars Sunday afternoon of the Great American Race. Tomorrow, Xfinity teams will get it done. Tonight, it's the Gander Outdoors Truck Series. 12 minutes to go. Final practice for Xfinity teams. Let's go to the garage and Matt.
Adam, over in the Junior Motorsports Camp, Noah Gregson, they're done. So looking at joining this team, what surprised you the most?
Just the atmosphere at the shop. It's a really laid-back atmosphere, and I don't feel like you have that typical race shop deal where you have your individual car number groups within the building. Everybody has a helping hand in building all the race cars, and I really think that's unique, and I feel like that's successful. Everybody wants to help each other get better. The drivers, we all work together. We work with the other crew chiefs and our own crew chiefs, so just being able to see what it's like within the doors, I understand it a lot more. Everybody used to say that it's a family atmosphere, but I didn't understand until I got to Junior Motorsports.
You look at Dave Ellens and his resume here at Daytona, which is spectacular. Does that put more pressure on you? And as you mentioned earlier, he's kind of like two guys in one.
That's right. he's like your typical crew chief, very serious at the racetrack, and then you get him outside the racetrack fence, and he's like a buddy to me. He's a good guy, really comfortable. This is the most comfortable I felt with a group of guys at the start of Daytona. And then to have a fast switch Camaro SS is really important to me to take that pressure off myself. Coming into this race, this is the least pressure I've had on myself, I feel like, and it's the biggest opportunity I've had yet. So just being comfortable with the guys, preparing, just really laid back atmosphere with Dave's success here. He said half of it's all luck, and we might end up on our roof, we might end up in victory lane, but we're gonna go down with the fight, and we're gonna try as hard as we can all year long.
Now, Regan Smith, no pressure in comfort. You know, as a former driver, especially driving at Junior Motorsports, that's going to equate to success on the racetrack.
Well, Matt, especially with the speed of those race cars, and as I've been in them before, I've been on my roof and I've been in victory lane for Junior Motorsports, so everything can happen when you're in those cars. One of the guys who is very good when we come down to Daytona, we see you every year, local guy, St. Augustine, Scott Legacy Jr. You have had a ton of success at these plate races. How do you feel about tomorrow?
I'm excited. Car drives great right now, which is all you really need, something that drives good. The guys worked hard, so I don't know. I don't consider myself the plate racer, but I've gotten lucky here lately, so see if we can't get a little bit better.
I think you've done more than lucky, gotten more than lucky. It happens in every series you're in. Let's talk about real quick my dinner plans. You're a local guy. You're from St. Augustine. I need to know where should I be going tonight?
Purple Olive in St. Augustine. That's kind of my little hidden spot, that or Flagler Fish Company, but no, I'm excited, man. It's home. Have Rimrock Devlin Group on, and for me, for them to step up and put Tom Coughlin's the J Fund on to the cancer's obviously close with me with what I went through, so to be a part of that, so it'll be a fun weekend.
Hey, this worked out great. I know where I'm eating dinner now tonight. Matt, what do you got?
No. I have got to disagree with Scott. Now, if you want to go to a great place, food here in Central Florida, especially in Daytona, two places I always go to. Mr. Witch Deli in Ormond Beach at the corner of Granada and Nova. It's got the best pizza you'll ever have. But if you want seafood, you got to go up A1A to Flagler Beach. High Tides at Snack Jacks. Back when I first started going there in high school, it was just called Snack Jacks. Fantastic food. And now I really want to say don't go there tonight, because that way I'll be able to get in there easy and get a table. But
we've got conflicting reports from the locals here. I don't know where to go now. What I do know is if I go eat pizza, it's going to be one bite. Everybody knows the rules.
We're going to drop your name, Matt. Is that going to help us out when we pay the bill at the end of the night?
Absolutely.
Put it on the Yoakum bill.
I always direct message ahead so I can get a table. Fantastic, folks.
I'm going to go to the Purple Olive. I just like the way that sounds.
Plenty of opportunities to eat on the infield. Bojangles, why not? 7 minutes to go, final practice for these Xfinity cars.
Look, we got us a Chase Elliott fan.
And nothing happening on track, so we thought we'd take a tour of the infield.
Well, I'm telling you, that's what I did last night. After the duel, I went out walking around, just seeing what the locals were doing. Always cooking up some good barbecue. A lot of friendly folks out there willing to share a nice barbecue plate with you and maybe a cold beer if you are wanting one.
What do you think of that move Logano made last night?
It was amazing, and it was surprising. If I'm Clint Boyer, I'm thinking, where did he come from? Hadn't seen that all week.
Kyle Busch is here.
All right, you made it.
Did you see that?
I'll tell you what, this has been a fun show. And by the way, Michael, I know why you want to go to the other place.
Why?
Because the name sounds like it's got a lot of things going on.
I just thought it was interesting.
Uh-huh.
It's a hidden gem. I don't even know if it exists.
Hey, by the way, did I tell you that I'm friends with Lisa Jordan on Facebook? Do you remember her?
Yes. I haven't seen her in 100 years.
Remind me, I've got a great story on that I almost said something in front of the wrong person, and it's the funniest story ever. But I'll get with you when it's just you.
All right, I'll see if I can see.
I think we should add another 30 minutes to this practice. I mean, we're just now starting to gel, getting into a groove here at the Great American Speedway. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Texas in 2 months.
It might be renamed when we get there, actually.
Will they still have 500 miles?
That won't change.
Oh, mercy. Hold me back. Sabrini, no more Mountain Dew during the show.
Still all quiet here at Daytona International Speedway. Final practice in the NASCAR Xfinity Series presented by Toyota. Officially 4 minutes, 15 seconds on the clock, but I have a feeling the hay is in the barn, as they say, Michael.
Well, after that first session, I knew we wouldn't have as much action in this practice, but we saw some guys make some single car runs. We maybe have established a couple of favorites for the pole tomorrow morning. That'll be fun to watch, but mainly I'm ready to go racing, and I know these guys are. That's why they've made the adjustments. They've got their seats comfortable. They can see out of their mirrors. They've got those conversations with their spotters all buttoned up. These guys are set on go to try to get a victory at Daytona International Speedway.
Who would you put on the short list for the pole?
You know, you just look at Noah Gragson. He talked about how much he liked the speed in his car. In practice, Justin Haley has a couple of tenths over Gragson, but you never know if he might have got a little draft, who got some help. So you got to watch real closely at that to see who might have an advantage. But Chase Briscoe, I think that's another guy that's going to have a lot to say with not only who wins this pole, but probably the race tomorrow afternoon.
I feel like in the last couple of years, we have gradually seen the identity in the Xfinity Series change as NASCAR has put rules in place to taper the number of Cup regulars that can run week in and week out. Only 2 guys that will compete for the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Championship racing here tomorrow, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, and there is little doubt they will make their presence known. But is the door open for this race tomorrow to go the way of these Xfinity Series regulars, given the low number of Cup superstars that will be competing?
Yeah, you know, I think so. I think we're going to continue to see that grow, and that's fun for us. You know, I think in the Gander Outdoors Truck Series, you start to get to know these kids, like Noah Gragson, who had such a strong run in that series last year, like William Byron when he showed up. Stephen Parsons got a couple of starts last year in a truck as well. So you're getting to know these kids. And when they come to the Xfinity Series, they've honed their skills. William started racing online when he was 12 years old. That's how he got his start. Not even behind the wheel of an actual car. He went to the Legends cars, he won, he went to the trucks, the Xfinity Series, and now he's on the Daytona 500 pole. These kids, when they get to the Xfinity Series, they are ready to win, and that's good for us because they go up against Brad Keselowski. They challenge Chase Elliott, and they can get to victory lane.
Yeah, William Byron won for Junior Motorsports here a couple of summers ago. Regan Smith also has a win for Junior Motorsports at Daytona. 2014, right, Regan?
It was 2014. I actually got that wrong earlier this week on a conference call. I forgot what year I won. A guy that's looking to get a win down here, Ryan Sieg. We were down at your car just a little while ago and had a chance to chat with your new crew chief, and seems like things are going really well for you guys.
Yeah, we've updated. We got some more sponsorship dollars and updated our equipment and updated our crew, and Shane and the guys have worked hard at the off season, and we're ready to go and get a win and get the season started off right.
Now, Shane Wilson has a win here in the past and nearly won it last year with Kaz Grala, as we talked about. You are one of those guys that we'd love to pull for when it comes Saturday, because we know you got a shot at these plate races. What do you think about tomorrow?
I'm excited. I'm ready to go. Just see how everything goes. You never know how these races are going to shake out, and just hopefully we're there at the right spot at the right time and have a great finish.
Adam, we delayed that interview just long enough. He had to get the hat on. Larry's Lemonade on board his car for this weekend. His PR guy came sprinting through the garage with it. It was wonderful. We can have maybe some lemonade to go with that pizza that we're going to go get to eat later on.
I'm all for that. And you mentioned Ryan's success here at Daytona. The one race I always think of when I see Ryan Sieg, Iowa, 2 summers ago, he ran second to William Byron. And if Byron had had any kind of an issue, Ryan would have been able to get his first and only career victory in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. As it turned out, it was Byron's first win, went on to the championship, and as we know, the rest is history. And the clock going to strike 0 with 1 car on track. That's the 22 of Austin Cindric. Actually, there might be 1 or 2 more finishing a run off.
Cindric's fast time so far in this session is a 48.29. That was a 48.42, so whatever adjustments they made, wasn't able to pick up any speed. And like Ryan Sieg, Jeremy Clements is another driver we like pulling for. There's so many great stories down there in the garage area about teams that maybe don't have the funding some of the top teams does, but they don't try it. They try as hard as they can, and when they have success like we've seen these guys have, it's fun to celebrate it.
Jeremy Clements going to shut it down, and that will end practice for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Justin Haley leads the way in this final session. He is a rookie. Chase Briscoe, top of the charts, practice number 1. He too running for Rookie of the Year. So what do we anticipate tomorrow? Qualifying at 9:30. Race coverage begins early afternoon.
I just think we're going to see 3 wide, crazy racing. We're probably going to see the big one. It usually happens in every race at Daytona. And we're also going to see a thrilling run to the checker. Closest finish in the history of NASCAR was here in the Xfinity Series. I don't know if we can break it because I don't know if we can measure that closely or not, but it'll be that type of intense action all the way to the checkered.
300 miles for the NASCAR Xfinity Series here tomorrow. It's live on FS1. Joey Logano in the booth with Michael and me. Next item on our to-do list will be qualifying for these Xfinity teams. That's tomorrow morning, live on FS1 at 9:30. Here's the schedule for the rest of the day. 4 o'clock, NASCAR Race Hub from the studio. Lindsey Zarniak, Ricky Craven, Larry McReynolds. Michael, you have qualifying for the trucks at 4:30. Race day at 7. Caitlin Vincey, Jeff Hammond, 2-time champ Todd Bodine, and the race tonight.
Everything I just said about the Xfinity race, expect the same thing tonight with our trucks when they go. Great flag racing.
Could a star be born? Next up, it's Cup practice.